This is MidLifeVirus and your host, Sean Harflinger, talking about philosophy, lifestyles, humor, pop culture, family, everything and anything that has to do with Gen X. MidLifeVirus is gonna cover it. Join me as I join myself in today's episode 1, Introductions to the Virus. This is MidLifeVirus, and let's get started now. Warning, adult content. Cover your ears, cover your children's ears, cover your dog's ears. All right, so here we are. I want to first off introduce myself and say thank you for showing up. This is MidLifeVirus, and what I am trying to do here is lend my voice. Lend my voice to the search, lend my voice to the conversation. Later on, as we keep on moving forward and we get to know each other, you're going to understand just how rough it is trying to find your voice. And in the realm of mental health, and that's where I exist within the realm of mental health, because, you know, that's your lot in life. Sometimes you get what you get. And so here we are trying to figure this out together. And you're going to see me day in, day out, talk about stuff. And hopefully we'll find some answers together. So that's where we're at. I want to welcome you once again. I want to bring you into my world. I want to have you imagine right now that you are outside of the planet. I was closing my eyes there for a second. You're outside of the planet, and you're going to zoom in, and you're going to see the Pacific Ocean, and you're going to see this little group of islands, and you're going to keep on coming in closer, and the islands are getting bigger, and those islands are the Hawaiian Islands. And that is where you will find me, out in the middle of nowhere, talking to myself. And so here we go. Let's get started. This is MidLifeVirus, and I want to welcome you for joining us today. Our topics are going to be episode 1, introductions. And yes, I am going to sound like this the entire time because that's how it sounds in my head, right? I sound like some kind of super excited ring announcer in the WWE. And if you don't know what the WWE is, that's the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. And as a Gen X prodigy, that was in my childhood. And so you're going to hear that. Hello, everybody. This is MidLifeVirus. Right? Anyway, let's hope that works. So today, introductions, episode 1. I think we're going to have a lot of these introduction episodes because you can't get to know anybody without the 30 questions, right? Who are you? What are you? Where are you? How are you? All that good stuff. And so we're going to start today with just the beginning stuff. What am I? Well, I can tell you what I am. I am the product of a whole line of stuff. And it's funny, you don't really think really what compromises you in your spirit, your mental space, your clarity, your paradigm, how you perceive things, but it's all about the story you tell. And so I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story about a long freaking line of weird decisions and mental health and heredity and PTSD and drama. Oy, so I guess we'll start it like this. My grandfather broke my father, and my father broke me. Not only through their actions, but just through heredity. You know, you think you're born with like this blank slate, and sometimes you're born with things like hereditary alcoholism, you know what I mean? Or skin conditions, you know, blue eyes, anything genetically handed down, epigenetically handed down. That's your lot in life. And so many times people don't talk about it. They don't talk about it. And so they hand down these questions, they hand down these mysteries, these curses onto the next generation. And so it took me decades, absolute decades, running around completely unaware of what I was. Smacking my head against the trees, literally. You know what I mean? Cutting myself, hating myself. You find yourself holding space within because you can't trust anybody. And when your father and your family is something that you can't really trust, you hide. And so for me, I hid in one of my silver linings. And one of the silver linings of trauma and childhood trauma, one of the silver linings of mental health, one of the silver linings of just living in another space is creativity. And so there I am. Here I am with Robin Williams as my spirit animal. Here in Hawaii, it's called an aumakua, your spirit animal. It's usually reserved for animals, like manta rays and sharks. But for me, my earliest recollection was of Robin Williams. That was the definition of innocence that I could identify with. Mork and Mindy. It was actually Mork and Mindy. And yes, if you haven't figured it out, I am a Gen X ninja, born in the mid-70s. I am lucky enough to have one foot in black and white and one foot in I's and O's, which I guess to the layman would mean I was raised within the beginning burgeoning landscape of technology. I was also raised within the old landscape of misogyny and, denigration and ignoring real problems. And so that's where my voice is going to come from. My voice is going to come from, hey, you know what? It's time to talk about these things. That's what we're going to talk about. MidLifeVirus isn't some quirky, kitschy name that I came up with. MidLifeVirus is actually a definition for something I'm trying to control, because it wasn't until I was in my 40s did I really, really sit down and start to understand what I am. Those honest questions on what am I, right? You can listen to people your entire life. Oh, you're eccentric, you're passionate, you're kitschy. You know what I mean? Oh, this guy, look at him, and people will they'll misdefine. One thing I'm just going to pause right now. One thing you are going to get with me on this podcast is authenticity. I'm not going to edit. There's no edits. So if I say something stupid, if I mispronounce a word, if I make up a word, we're stuck with it. Why? Because that's honesty. That's me being genuine. If I edit my conversation when we're face to face, what is that? Can you imagine that? You and I are having a conversation and I just say, hey, hold on a second. And I delete my prior. You can't do that, right? So in order to be authentic, you got to give and then you got to take. And sometimes taking looks like humility. Sometimes taking looks like me saying, I thought for the longest time that it was douche in the night. And it's not. It's deuce in the night. Wrapped up like a deuce in the night. I later find out that another guy who sang the cover actually said douche on purpose because he thought it was an inside joke. But anyway, you got to own those things, right? And so that's what I am. That's what this whole mission is about. That's what this whole inoculation series is about, is I'm trying to cure a virus. I'm trying to figure out the answers and the keys, and I want you to help me. I want to share it with you. I want to show you what I figured out. And then I want you to say, oh, man, you were so close. You almost got that dollar. You know what I mean? Here it is on the fishing pole. You almost grabbed it, but the answer is just 50 cents away. And here you are. And I'm going to appreciate that. Why? Because all I know is I know nothing at all. And that's a quote from Socrates. It's a quote that I hold dear to my heart. It's a quote that keeps me in awe. And so when you're a person like me who lives with serious and legit mental health issues, you know what I mean? At my worst, I created harm for myself. At my worst, I created harm to others. And for those with mental health that don't take that serious, you should come on this walk with me, this journey with me, because it is a serious topic. You don't want to hurt anybody because your perceptions are altered. You don't want to hurt yourself because your paradigm has been poisoned. And so MidLifeVirus is my attempt to find that inoculation, to find that vaccine. And whew, vaccine is a touchy word considering the last couple of years, but we're going to talk about that. Episode 1, Midlife Virus. Introductions. And I want to say, first off, I'm super happy that you're here with me. I hope you like my mic settings, because I'm kind of new to this, and I was excited about these super sexy mic settings. Hello? Is it me you're looking for? Now, I don't know how to sing, so you can tell me that, but I am going to goof off, and you're going to get the most authentic, honest version of me. And if I'm just a weirdo and you're like, dude, this guy's a ham, this guy's eccentric, this guy's kitschy, he's passionate, he's flat out loony bin and just insane, that's cool, I get it. I got it. That's why I finally found the courage to come to where I am now. Oh man, I tell you, decades hidden in the shadows because, you know, you're just crazy, right? You're just eccentric, you're kitschy, you're whatevers. Yeah, it's a really cool thing to do, right? To just gaslight the crap out of somebody who's struggling. But we're gonna move around that. Oh, excuse me. We're gonna move around that. We're gonna start it now. So I don't know if you... Oh my God, I said I'm not going to edit, but I think I lied because that probably sounded disgusting. You know what I mean? Who wants a random guy they just started listening to come up and go... No, if you're not watching the show and you're listening to the show, that was probably disgusting. If you're watching the show, it's even grosser. But, my goodness, I should probably take a technical break. This mic keeps on coming right up into my face very suggestively, and I don't understand why. I think I've got to tighten it. If you're not watching, everybody, the mic slowly moves towards me without my hands on it. Look, here's both my hands in front of the camera, and the mic just comes up like some weird suggestive friend of Epstein that I've never met. You know what I mean? Hi, just want to stick this thing in your face. Is that inappropriate? Totally inappropriate. Am I making light of the situation? Not in the way you think I am. I'm actually making fun of the predators, right? Of their inability to actually just snag a regular partner, right? No, they gotta come in and intrusively stuff their fuzzy mic in my face. Anyway, that's probably a terrible tangent for me to go off of, but that's what happens when you're raised by boomers, right? Your filter, you only have like one. It's in or it's out. And when it's in, you don't talk about shit. And when it's out, you don't have a filter. That's what happens, right? Does this thing finally stop? All right, cool. Well, it looks like the mic is finally lost its hard on and I can get back to work, right? How'd you like that? That was a whole good, 2 minutes of wasted time? That's how you fill up an hour, ladies and gentlemen. You just babble the hell on forever about dumb, inconsequential shit. I don't think I actually even pronounced that word, but hey, that's what we're in for. Your friends might be asking you, what the hell are you listening to? I don't know, something called MidLifeVirus. It sounds like predictable gibberish, but the guy's got a funny voice. So anyway, thank you. And let's continue. I remember the very first time I was told not to cry. And you're like, what? What? Yes, in men's culture, there's this whole rule that apparently you're not supposed to cry. It's weakness. It shows weakness. Emotions and the display of emotions are, taboo. And so I remember the first time I was 6 years old, and my dog, I had a German Shepherd, and she was amazing. Her name was Angel. And my dog had gotten out, crossed the fence on our ranch, and went down the street and killed a neighbor's cat. And the neighbor came to our house and told my father, and my father lost his mind. My dad was a Vietnam vet, and my mic, man, look at me, I'm just over here battling with this mic. It's my mic arm. Anyway, back on topic. My dad was a Vietnam vet, broken well before he went to Vietnam, and he came back just completely gone, right? Just triggered evil. I can't see evil if you're just broken beyond belief and you don't even know it. You know what I mean? An injured animal in a corner either submits or goes batshit crazy. And so my dad would alternate between this weird submission, and it was called drug abuse and alcohol, and then just batshit crazy, which was tearing the shit out of my family. So the neighbor comes up and says, "Hey, your dog killed our cat." My dad, "Okay, I'll deal with it," puts on his public face. Guy leaves. My dad loses his shit, grabs me by the nape of the neck, throws me into the front yard. "Get your dog." I go get my dog. When I come back, my dad's got a rifle. He's putting the rifle up to my dog's head. He's screaming at me, and he tells me, "You need to run down to that house and apologize for what your dog has done. And if you don't do it, I'm going to take your dog out." And I believed my father. My father was one of those men who had a criminal background, who was a violent man. I'd seen it. I'd witnessed it. I'd felt it. I knew it was real. There was no reason for me to doubt him. And so this 6-year-old little me in this reality is running for his dear life. I'm running for my dog's life. And this place is like maybe a half a mile away. Way out in the middle of nowhere. I'm out in the country outside of Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is way up north in Idaho. And so I'm running for the life of us, me and my dog. I'm running. And as I am sprinting, I run too fast. And when little kids run too fast, they fall forward, and right on their face, right on the pavement, I'm down, and I scrape up my knee terribly, just blood everywhere. And as I'm getting up, a guy in the neighborhood, I'm not gonna name him, I'll never forget him, but a guy comes riding up, and he sees me bleeding, he sees me crying, and he says, "Hey, boys don't cry." And he said it in the most disgusting, scolding kind of manner. Do you know what I mean? And here I am, covered in blood. I'm shaking, I'm upset, I'm distraught. And I remember thinking, shame, like, wow, okay. Okay, and you stand up and you collect yourself. This little boy, sniffles. And I wipe the blood off my knee. It's just pouring down. It's dark red. It's like, it's a deep wound. Anyway, I collect myself, internalize what this man just told me. And then I run the next quarter mile to the house, and I knock on the door, and I'm sniveling, and I'm crying, and I'm there to apologize. And the father accepts my apology with disdain. He's clearly mad at me. And I leave. And I just remember being broken. Here's the thing about me. I've got this crazy, photographic memory. You know what I mean? I can replay all this stuff. It's fun, but at the same time, the reality of my memories is just intense because of it. And so I apologize, and I walk back to our ranch house, and my dad's nowhere to be found. I can't find my dog, and I'm hyperventilating. I'm freaking out. I'm thinking the worst. And it turns out it didn't happen. He didn't kill my dog. He didn't shoot it. But I walk forward in life thinking, holy crap. At this example, I can't even... Okay, so I'm ashamed, right? My little kid head is telling me that, what I did was wrong. Wrong, and wrong. 100%, which was the beginning of how a young boy shuts up. When you realize that even in your most vulnerable, painful moments, nobody cares, and you're wrong for showing them, that's when a young boy stops. And I imagine I'm not the only man who was brought up like that. The guy who came up and told me that, he was brought up like that. It's the sins of the father. A lot of people think the sins of the father are just, a very finite set of things. But no, the sins of the father are all the mistakes you make. I've made them. I've made all kinds of stupid mistakes. And thankfully, I've been introspective enough and aware enough, mindful enough to define them and dissect them and go, oh my God, that was the wrong message as a dad, right? And I've had to course correct many times because, like I mentioned before, I don't know anything. know what I mean? All I know is I know nothing at all. I just got to try my best. And so introduction number one to manhood isn't, you know, all the things that are happening to me, because those are introductions. The thing that really hit me the most is that there was no space for me. There was no ear to hear that devastation. And so I kept it with me. And it was that journey that I started. I think a lot of boys, excuse me, no editing, remember? So burps, belches, hiccups, God forbid a loud fart. You know, I have to put a little sardonic levity into this, because this is a terrible memory. Terrible memory. And so if you don't know what the word sardonic means, it is a word that means you are laughing for the sake of levity. I probably completely got this definition wrong, but I was called out many years ago by my counselor, who every time I would recollect a painful story or a memory, a trigger or whatnot, I'd be like, and I'd Robin Williams over my pain. You know what I mean? I would evoke my spirit animal, my Amakua. Mork, please jump out of your freaking egg and help me. And that would come in the form of sardonic laughter. And so my therapist kept on calling me out. I keep on moving this mic because it keeps like, anyway, my therapist would call me out over and over again and say, man, what's up with the sardonic laughter? And so finally, you know, after 2 or 3 times to be called out, it's like, you got to define this. What are you talking about? And it ended up becoming a story about how back in the day, during the Nazi concentration camps, they would interview survivors of the Holocaust. And oftentimes they would have this nervous, out-of-place laughter to which people would be like, this isn't funny. And so that type of laughter, that nervous, I'm trying to get through this kind of laughter, that's called sardonic laughter. Sardonic laughter. So it's a thing, it's a very real thing. And then I think once you've become, what is the word? Introduced. Once you've been introduced to sardonic laughter, you know what it is. You start to recognize it in yourself. I used to do it a lot. I had this nervous, painful laugh because I'm trying to cope with getting this out in the open. I'm trying to cope with the triggering pain that is evoked by the memory. And I'm also embarrassed. And so that's the wonderful thing about sardonic laughter, is that it covers these wonderful points: your embarrassment, social awkward moment, and just flat out pain of the experience. And so, oh, I know, look at me, I'm like some ADHD kind of tangent maniac. I think that's what comes with PTSD and just the brain that I have, right? I've got a neurodivergent kind of brain, and so I'm just all over the place. And so you can follow it. God bless you if you can. And if you cannot, please try to, because you deciphering me is what's going to help me decipher me. Right? It's like that old joke from, I think, the Honeymooners. I know that you know that I know that you know that I know that you know I need help. And I know that you know that you know that I know that you can help me. It's like that. Who's on third? Right? My sanity. Anyway, so the threat of my dog dying. This cat's been killed. I'm bleeding. Guy on the bike is like, shut up, stupid little boy. It put me on a path I was already on. I thought I had options, but it put me on a path to silence. And throughout my childhood, I would be introduced to that path over and over and over again. I remember asking my teacher for help. I thought teachers were a safe space when I was a kid, and so I would approach my teacher and say, this is happening at home, and nothing ever happened. And so those are the lessons that teach you to shut up. And so imagine this: you learn these parameters as a young boy, and they're reinforced and they're told over and over again. You try to break them. You go to these people of authority and you ask for help, and you get slammed every time. And so you move on up in the world. You become an adolescent, you go through puberty, you become a teenager, you become a young adult, and that norm, you know what I mean? That governor is there the entire time. Shut up, we don't want to hear about it, you're weak, and we don't care. And only recently have I noticed a shift. You know, I imagine there was always people that cared. There's always that contingent of awakened and mindful souls, right? But overall, it looked like the contingency of that kind of ideation was a massive part of the world for a long time. And so only until recently have you been able to come out and talk to people. And so it's going to start here. It's going to start with me. I'll tell you, one of my big motivations is my suicide attempts. And so that's what really kind of wakes you up when you have mental health. Is it's one thing to deal with and mitigate your symptoms from day to day. It's another thing when plans come to fruition, you're there, and you wake up from a failed attempt. You wake up from a blackout. You wake up from an episode. Then it's time for humility to kick in, right? The reality of where you are is something that needs to be handled. And what makes it difficult is when you've been trained to shut the fuck up. And so here I am, I guess I've outlived my training, or maybe I've retrained myself, but it's taken a really long time. And here I am, nearly 50 years old. Once again, we harken back to the name of the show, MidLifeVirus. It was right before the pandemic. It was right during the pandemic. It was that whole perfect storm. I was already losing it in 2017, 2018. 2019 came around and I'm sitting on the Pulley. The Pulley is a lookout, and it's famous here in Hawaii. You die if you jump off it. And so that's where I'm at. I'm at the Pulley, the wind's in my face. And that was my ideation. That was my place. And something woke me up. And so you wake up from that and you go, what the fuck? And so, I couldn't have come back from that if I would have jumped. You know what I mean? I came back miraculously from the overdoses and the other attempts, but jumping off of this thing, I couldn't have bounced back from that, literally. That's a terrible joke, too. I probably would have bounced. Sardonic laughter. I most definitely would have bounced, everybody, a couple of times. I probably would have Homer Simpsoned down and hit 1,400 different cliff faces, and then bounced. But it was that day, it was that moment, right before the pandemic started, that I kind of woke up. And then boom, lockdown. And so MidLifeVirus was born. I'm in the middle of my life. I'm still broken. I'm still sick. And now I need answers. And if I don't find these answers, I don't know. It's worse than death. So you see what you look at that sardonic laughter. You get to a point where you just tell your truth and it's sobering. And I think that's what a lot of us need to be is sober within our truths. And I think that's where we get drunk. We get drunk in the lie that we're not good enough. Nobody's going to listen. I'll just ride this out. I deserve this. You know what I mean? I'm not worthy of a healthy life or whatever it is. You know what I mean? We find ourselves drunk in those lies, and here we are, sobering up. And so I want to thank you for being here. Man, this is a good one. I think we've been talking for a good 30 minutes of all kinds of weird rambling crap, but that is the name of this game. MidLifeVirus is rambling, and it's weird, and it's unpredictable. I do have an outline, just so you know. I do talk about different things. We're going to talk about mental health. We're going to talk about Gen X. We're going to talk about post-traumatic stress. We're going to talk about Hawaii. Hawaii. We're going to talk about all kinds of weird stuff. I'm going to make jokes and laugh and sing and dance. It's going to be kind of like a variety show because you do what you like. And I'm doing this because I like it. I want to be sane. I want my symptoms to not be my reality. And so the only way you can do that is with practice. The only way you can do it is by reaffirming the affirmations and rewriting those things in your brain. Do you know what I mean? And so this is me in real time healing, and you're a part of it. And I want to say thank you, because coming from a little boy that didn't have a voice, now having somebody listen to it, it's powerful. it means something, not only to me, but it just means something. I think one of the biggest hells on earth is to not be seen, right? That it creates so much pain to not be heard, to not be understood, for your legacy to be moot and muted. So anyway, I think this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna probably cry. Just a forewarning, I cry about the stupid stuff. I am hyper empathetic. That's another silver lining that I picked up with creativity, is that when you experience pain over and over again, and it's just a thing, it's your existence, your reality, you do not, well, there's two types of people. I'm the type of person that doesn't want that pain to move on. I want to cure that pain. I want to heal from that pain. I want to rehab from that pain, and I want to show people what it looks like so you don't run into it. And then you've got the other type of person. You've got people that aren't strong enough and they lash out. And I say strong, I see strength, because the easy part is lashing out. Do you know what I mean? The easy part is vengeance. The easy part is red-eyed fury. That's easy. I can do that in a heartbeat. Like that. You know what I mean? I can flip that out in a heartbeat. I learned that in my youngest days by watching my father, by experiencing it, by feeling it. You know what I mean? In the martial arts, and I am a martial artist, we'll talk a lot about that. But the best way you learn is through doing, right? Through sparring. The best way to know how that punch is supposed to hit is by the master hitting you with that punch. And that might sound a little hardcore, but I've been in the martial arts near 30 years, and I've been punched a lot, and that's how you understand it. And so that kind of understanding runs right into pain, right? And so when you experience pain, you know what it hits like. You know what it feels like. And if you're an empathetic soul, you know what I mean? If you're a person of service, if you honor others, you're not going to want to put that pain on anybody else. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? And so that's one of my biggest things, is I just couldn't do it, right? And I know that there's a better way. There's a healing way. There's a unity. There's a sharing. There's an honesty. And that's where I am. A lot of you have never heard this story before. A lot of you who know me, and even the people that don't know me, this is the first time I've talked about a lot of this outside of therapy. Some of it, I'm going to have to I don't know, what is the word? I'm going to have to polish it a little bit, because some of it is ugly. It's incredibly ugly. Some of it is it's real, it's gritty, it's dirty. Some of it I'm ashamed of. Some of it I need to learn to not be ashamed of. But in the middle of my life, in the middle of this virus, I think it's time. I think I'm due. I think a lot of us come to this time where we're just sick of hurting and we just want to be healthy. And then not only do we want to be healthy, we want others to be healthy. And so that's where I'm coming from. And so here we are. Once again, I think I've circled around that 8 times, right? And here we are once again. Damn it, Sean, shut the fuck up and get back on track. That's what happens with mental health, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes we talk in circles. And so, I'm going to have to, I don't know, put a timer on or something. I hope you're here with me. I hope you pull through and join me the entire time through, because I think we're going to get some breakthroughs. I think we're going to have some fun. All right, and so I'm going to give you this time now to take your first break. This is our first break. Enjoy this break from our sponsors. And now a word from our sponsors. Funky Puppy Productions. If you need a production done, Funky Puppy Productions can do it for you. Visit us at funkypuppyproductions.com. All I know is that I know nothing at all. And it's because of this mantra I've been honest. I don't have all the answers. I can only seek the answers. And hopefully, together, we can find these answers. Because after all, we don't know anything at all. I tried to sound super sexy saying that. And I sounded like a complete idiot. Here's the truth. I'm just trying to find answers because I'm getting sick of being lost. And so here we are. We're going to work on this together. Join me as I join myself here at MidLifeVirus. This has been another wonderful episode of MidLifeVirus. I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for following me and listening to my stories. You can find more exciting content on Facebook. You can go ahead and follow us on Instagram. You can search us out and watch the videos at YouTube at My Midlife Virus, and feel free to check us out online at midlifevirus.com.